Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. The focus of today's webinar is on a doctoral program in management, the Ph.D. program. And we have with us our chairperson of Ph.D. program, Professor Anand Krishnamurthy. Welcome, Professor. We also have with us Mr. Balakrishna, Head of Marketing at IIM Bangalore. Welcome, sir. I would like to start the session. First, I'll be talking about the institute, and then Professor will talk about the program, the various aspects of the PhD program, the career opportunities, and then we'll come to the admission part. At the end, we will have the Q&A session. You can use the Q&A facility that we have here, use that to ask your question, and at the end we will be answering those questions. And whatever questions you are, please feel free to ask in the Q&A facility. So with this, let me start. First, I would like to talk about our institute. Many of you might be aware, we are one of the leading graduate business school in Asia. The institute was established in 1973. Just last year, we celebrated 50 years of establishment. We have grown over the years, not only as an institute, educational wise, but also as a center for innovation and entrepreneurship. Our institute is of national importance, and we have internationally recognized postgraduate management programs. Our focus has always been on education, research, and consulting. I also want to talk a little bit about our campus. You can see on the slide, in fact, the photos doesn't do any justice on how beautiful the campus is. It is full of lush greenery. You can see, those of you who are familiar with Bangalore, you might be aware that our institute is located in the southern part of Bangalore. As you can see on the slide, the graduation ceremony happens in the midst of this green campus that we have here. It's called as amphitheater. Our classrooms and library are all equipped with state-of-art infrastructure, which is very conducive, not only for learning, but also for collaboration and innovative thinking. We have excellent facility in terms of sports and hostel facilities and so on. Let's talk about rankings. I'm sure many of you might be aware. We have been recognized as one of the leading graduate business school in India. We have been ranked consistently by Government of India, consistently ranked number 2 by Government of India, and we have been equals accredited. So what does that mean? It means to say that our programs, our curriculum, and our institute performance is on par with the global standards. So that's something that we are really proud of. I also want to talk about the various other degree granting programs that we have. Apart from PhD, of course, the flagship program is MBA. Many of you might be already aware of this. It's a 2-year program. The admission is through CAT. In addition to the regular MBA, we also have a specialization, that is MBA in Business Analytics, that is also 2 years, and the admission is again through CAT. We also have 2 MBAs meant for experienced professionals and working professionals. One is the 1-year MBA. It's called as EPGP. It's a 1-year program meant for experienced professionals, and the admission is through GRE or GMAT. So that's a full-time program where the candidates have to quit the job or take a sabbatical for a year. Another MBA program that we have is a MBA for working professionals. It's called Postgraduate Program in Enterprise Management, PGPEM in short. It's a 2-year weekend program. It's a program where the candidates need not quit the job. They can join our MBA without quitting the job and complete the MBA in 2 years. So the admission for this program is through GRE, GMAT, CAT, and we have our own test. It's called IMB test. I'll talk about IMB test in detail in the later slides. I also want to talk a little bit about the faculty. Faculty is the greatest strength of our institute. They are not just excellent educators, but also great researchers. We have more than 111 full-time faculty and 38 adjunct faculty. All the faculty are PhD or equivalent. I also want to talk about our quarterly journal and the publications. We have the quarterly journal. It's one of the leading journals in India. It's called as IMB Management Review. In short, it's called as IMR. This is a platform for educators, industry leaders, and practitioners to share their knowledge, share their best practices. And I highly recommend you to go through some of the articles published in this journal. Our faculty and our research scholars have been consistently publishing research articles, book chapters, and also books in consistently over the years. And the articles and research papers have been published in leading journals. So that's something that I wanted to talk about. Faculty at IIM Bangalore. Um, in addition to all these, we have centers of excellence. We have centers of excellence in different areas and domains. For example, as you can see on the slide, we have centers of excellence in capital markets, entrepreneurship, digital public goods, corporate governance, software and IT management, and so on. So, what is this? What does these centers of excellence do? They act as a bridge between the academia and industry. These centers of excellence conduct various workshops and seminars and conferences. In fact, the practitioners, the industry experts, and academicians, this provides a platform to share some meaningful interactions. We also have other IMB initiatives. For example, we have Behavior Lab, we have data center and analytics research, real estate research, and consumer insights. These are some other initiatives that IMB provides. All these, the centers of excellence, IMB initiatives, all these provide an excellent platform for students to get different perspective about their domain. So, with this, I would like to hand over to Professor Anand Krishnamurthy. He will be talking about the various aspects of the PhD program. Over to you, Professor.
Thank you, Girish, and welcome to everybody. So what I'm going to do is to walk you through the details of the PhD program. Girish has already given you a little bit of background on the institute. And then after I walk you through the details of the program, Girish will walk you through a little bit of the admission logistics and deadlines. And then we will open up to Q&A. And I can see all of you are also already typing questions in the Q&A box, so please do that. So in the chat box, I have also posted links to 3 useful websites. The first website is the PhD admissions page. The second website is the PhD program page. And the third website is the PhD LinkedIn page. All these 3 web pages can be easily found using a Google search, but I thought it will be helpful for you to know because that has a lot of good information. The objective of our PhD program is to train people to get a doctoral degree and be ready for a career in research and teaching and contribute to the research related to management and the education of management principles. We want to add to the body of knowledge through the research we do. We want to disseminate that knowledge through the publications that we create. And we also want to train managers and policymakers in these advanced principles and impact the economy in that sense. Our doctoral program is divided or broken up into 10 different areas. In many of the other universities, you would call these as departments. We call it as areas. And when you apply to a PhD program, you usually work with a primary faculty in one of these 10 areas or departments. So we have decision sciences, which is where the statistics, operations, research, and analytics related work happens. We have an economics area. We have an entrepreneurship area. The entrepreneurship area is an area where we offer PhD in entrepreneurship. We have an incubator cell on campus that has helped a lot of startups and has been very successful. So from the learnings, our entrepreneurship PhD program focuses on research related to entrepreneurship. We have a finance and accounting area. We have an information systems area that looks at issues related to digital transformation, Gen AI, machine learning, other things. We have a marketing area, organizational behavior and human resource management area, production and operations management, which focuses on supply chain, healthcare, logistics, service industries, and so on, public policy, and the strategy area. So these are the 10 areas. When you apply to the PhD program, if you are not sure which area you would want to be part of, as part of your application, you can apply to up to 2 areas. But once you get accepted into one or more areas, then you will have to decide which one of those areas you will be doing your PhD in. Okay, so that will be your home department or home area. The PhD program structure, it's a 5-year full-time program, and it is broken up into 2 phases, a coursework phase and a research phase. Our PhD program is a full-time program, so it is not a part-time PhD program. It is a full-time PhD program that we have here. So if you are working, you cannot do the PhD along with your current job. Unfortunately, that is not possible in our current structure. In the first 2 years, what we do is we do coursework primarily. And the coursework that we do is heavily focused on training our PhD students in research methods. So in some of the other PhD programs, the coursework is the MBA coursework. We used to do that several years ago, and then the feedback we got from our PhD students was that while an exposure to MBA is okay, PhD MBA courses don't really give you training in research methodologies. So we are proud that we have dedicated doctoral level courses for our PhD students for the 2 years. In fact, our coursework is so well reputed that PhD students from other institutes come to take coursework at IIM Bangalore. In the coursework that we do, it's for 2 years, so roughly 18 courses, 9 courses in the first year and 9 in the second year. Depending on the area that you are admitted to, roughly half of those courses will be core courses from that area. So if you are admitted to economics area, then you will do roughly 9 out of the 18 in economics. If you are in the strategy area, you will do roughly 9 out of the 18 courses from the strategy area. This gives you depth and it gives you the training in research methods to do PhD in the domain that you are interested in. The remaining 50%, 9 out of 18, the rest half of the courses are what are known as breadth courses, and they could come from any of the other 10 disciplines or 9 disciplines that we have. So if you're a strategy student, you can take 9 courses in strategy, and the remaining 9 courses could be from economics, analytics, marketing, OBHR, public policy, things like that. So there is fair amount of flexibility. So in that process, you get both breadth and depth. In addition to the coursework that you do in the first 2 years, you also do independent study. And independent study and research assistantships that happens during the first 2 years is primarily aimed at allowing you to explore various research topics, identify your PhD topic and your PhD advisor. Unlike other institutes, we don't expect you to have a topic in mind when you come. We don't assign an advisor when you enter. We allow you to take up to 2 years to explore various topics, interact with faculty, and then decide which one of those topics and faculty are best suited for your dissertation. So the independent study and the RA work that you do during the first 2 years allows you to explore these topics by working one-on-one with various faculty. At the end of the 2 years, you take a comprehensive exam, and once you clear that exam, you form what is known as your dissertation advisory committee. That is your thesis committee. So by that time, you would know who your main thesis advisor is. So that is the primary person on that committee. Along with your thesis advisor, you will now form the rest of the committee, which could comprise of 2 or more faculty, either from your area or from other areas. And it is very common for that committee to have not only your main advisor, but also people from other areas. So you may be a public policy student, you can have an economics person on your committee, and you can have maybe a statistician on your committee from the decision sciences area. We also allow you to have faculty from outside the institute as part of that committee if they are experts in that domain of research. You could also have leading international experts as part of your committee, and it is not unusual, it's fairly common that that happens. Once you form your committee and you decide your topic, you start your research, and somewhere in the middle of the fourth year, you do what is known as a proposal defense. That is where you have some preliminary results. So you present it to the committee and to the audience saying, here is my thesis, here is what I have done, and here is what I plan to do to complete my thesis. Once the committee gives you feedback and says, yes, that is good enough, you complete that work and you finish your PhD degree with a public defense. During the course of your research phase, you also are exposed to teaching in the MBA classroom as a teaching assistant. So you get to observe our MBA classes being taught. You get some teaching training in teaching MBA courses and some experience in actually doing those teachings, so that when you finish your PhD, you are well trained both in research methodologies and also in the pedagogy related to management. So that's roughly the structure of our 5-year program. Now, I said it is a full-time program, and so we provide a fairly healthy financial package. Tuition fee is waived for the entire course duration. So none of our PhD students pay any tuition fees. In addition, we also provide a monthly stipend of 42,000 when you enter, and we also provide single-seater hostel accommodation for the 5 years of the program. If you are married and have a family, we don't have married accommodation on campus, but there is plenty of married accommodation available close to campus. And several of our PhD students are married with families and they stay fairly within walking distance of the campus. And we provided 20,000 per month housing subsidy for rent purposes to help you get that accommodation. If you are a local resident in Bangalore, you can also commute from home as long as you're okay with the Bangalore traffic. We also provide startup and contingency grants, 75,000 in the first year and 25,000 in subsequent years, to allow you to buy laptops, books, stationery, computing software, and other things that you need for your PhD process. We also have around 3.6 lakhs of travel grant money available for every student to allow them to go to multiple domestic and international conferences. Several of our students attend multiple domestic and international conferences as early as their second year, once they start having some research output. We want you to disseminate the research. We want you to get feedback. We want our students to build the networks and get that exposure through presenting at these conferences. We also have several other scholarships and milestone-related bonuses and publication-related incentives, and that can range anywhere from 3,000 to 80,000 during the course of the program, depending upon the milestones and the publications that you achieve. So that, in a nutshell, is the financial incentives or fellowship that we provide to all our PhD students. We also have recently launched an international collaboration. So we have a research exchange visit program that allows our PhD students to spend anywhere between 6 weeks to 6 months at an international collaborating institute. As of now, we have over 15 institutes that have signed up for a memorandum of understanding for these kinds of exchange visits. These institutes are all across the world, ranging from Philippines, Mexico, Germany, Brazil, Spain, Turkey, Singapore, Israel, Canada, and so on. Okay, and so the idea here is that if your research involves collaboration with a faculty at one of these institutes that may be an expert, then you are welcome to go and spend an extended period of time at these institutes. We will fund that expense so that you can develop that research, finish your dissertation, build a network, and gain that visibility. For details related to this program, you can visit the website that is linked on the slide below. And if you have questions, do let me know on chat and I'll be happy to answer some of those questions. What happens after PhD? So our PhD program is aimed at training people to take up faculty positions. So all the IIMs actively recruit our PhD students. Also, institutes like the IITs, Indian Institute of Science, and the private business schools, BITSOM and MIMS, and so on, all of them aggressively want to hire our PhDs. We have several alumni in several of these institutes, and we are very proud of their achievements. In addition to academic positions at the institutes I mentioned, some of our alumni are also faculty abroad in Melbourne, in the UAE, in France, in Norway, and so on. Some of them do postdoctoral fellowships at Harvard, NYU, UNC Chapel Hill, NIH in the US, and so on. And some of our alumni are also in industry in companies like Google, Target, MasterCard, Deutsche Bank, and so on, in various leading positions, C-level positions, or partners in startups and other things. So the options after PhD are pretty broad and diverse. So with that, I will hand it back to Girish, who will walk you through some of the logistics of the PhD admissions for this year.
Thank you, Professor. First, let me talk about the eligibility. In order to apply for PhD, you need to have one of these. You should have either a master's degree or a 5-year integrated master's degree or a 2-year postgraduate diploma or a professional qualification such as CA or ACWA or CS or a 4-year or 8 semesters bachelor's degree. There are certain cutoffs. For example, anyway, all these are available on the website. And there are certain cutoffs. For example, in case if you are applying through a master's degree or a 5-year integrated master's degree or a 2-year postgraduate diploma, you should have minimum 55% marks. Similarly, 50% is the marks that you should score in your BCom in case if you are applying through professional qualifications such as CA or ACWA. And in case if you're applying through a 4-year or 8 semesters bachelor degree, you should have 6.5 CGPA and so on. And the cutoff varies for certain categories that is also mentioned on the website. We accept valid test scores. For example, we accept GRE, GMAT, CAT, GATE, NET, and in case if you do not intend to take any of this, we have our own test. It's called as IMB test. So the validity of each of these is also mentioned. You should, for example, you should have taken GRE or GMAT. In case if you're applying through GRE or GMAT, you should have taken in the last 5 years. Similarly, if you're applying through CAT or GATE, you should have taken in the last 3 years, or even NET for that exam, for that matter. So I'll talk about IMB tests in detail. There are 2 rounds. The first round is already over. We have one IMB test in the month of February 2nd to be precise. And just this is a very important point. Please note that we have 10 areas. As Professor mentioned, you can apply to any 2 areas. Please note that not all areas accept all the test score. There are certain areas which do not accept certain tests. For example, finance and accounting do not accept IMB test. Similarly, there are some areas which do not accept NET. For instance, entrepreneurship, finance and accounting, marketing, and POM. These are the areas which do not accept net test. So please make a note of this. Again, all these are available on the website. And one important point, in case if you are applying for economics area, so you can see that it is mentioned as NR. NR means not required. You can directly apply. There will be an area test and there will also be a technical interview. A very important point, technical interview is a compulsory thing for any area. Irrespective of the area that you apply, technical interview is a mandatory thing. There will also be area test for most of the areas, but some areas do not have area test. For example, information systems, marketing, POM, and strategy do not have area test. So hope you have understood this concept. Please make a note of this, or you can always check the website. In case if you are applying for a certain area, please ensure that you are taking that particular test. Also want to talk about the NET. Those who are applying through NET, there are different examinations in UGC NET. Please note that not all examinations will be considered. For example, decision sciences, information systems, and public policy mostly accept most of the exams that you can see on the slide. However, in case if you are applying for OBHRM, so for OBHRM, you should, if you are applying through NET, only these tests will be considered. For example, economics, psychology, sociology, anthropology, management, and labor welfare. These are the examinations that will be considered. So this is something that you should note. Just because you have taken NET exam doesn't mean that the areas, all the areas will be accepting that NET. So this is also an important point. Overall, this is the admission process. The applications, there is January is the last day to apply, January this month, but we strongly recommend not to wait till the last minute. Kindly submit at least 10 days prior to the deadline. There will be shortlisting once you complete. In case if there is area test, you will have to go through that. Otherwise, there will be a direct interview and then there will be final selection. If you are applying for one area, the application fees is 1,000 rupees. And in case if you are applying for two areas, the application fees is 1,500. IMB test, I want to stress on this. As I already mentioned, the first IMB round, IMB test, first round is already over. In case if you want to apply for IMB test, it will be in the month of February, February 2nd, and the application fees is 1,200. And in case those of you who are writing, those of you who have already completed the first round and you are also planning for the second round, please note that we'll take the best out of two. So this is very, very important. One important point about IMB test is that the PhD application and the IMB test, these are two different things. You have to apply for both separately. Just because you have submitted the PhD application does not mean that the IMB test is also automatically come submitted. You will have to submit both. In fact, we have shown here the screenshot of the IMB test application. You can see that in this application, there is an option to select the PhD in the field that is provided. You have to select that. And once you complete, a receipt will be generated. The receipt number, that is something that you will have to mention in the PhD application. A very important part of the application is the statement of purpose, SOP in short. You will have to upload the SOP, and what should be there in SOP? SOP is mainly about you and your interest. You have to mention things like why is that you want to apply for PhD? What are your areas of interest? What are your career aims? What do you want to do after PhD? And these are some of the things that you should mention in the SOP. This is a very integral part of the application, very, very critical for the admission. The admission committee will look into your SOP. It is as important as other eligibility criteria. So please ensure that you write a very good statement of purpose. I highly recommend you to, you can take inspiration from previous SOPs of somebody else, or you can just talk to your seniors and so on. But let it be genuine, let it be original, because it is about you. And there is a word limit for that. It should be less than 600 words. Again, I want to stress on the deadline. The PhD application deadline is 24th January. Kindly submit at least 1 week before the deadline. Another important and integral part of the application is the letters of reference, LOR. We need two letters of reference. And who can be the referee? A referee is someone who can talk about your potential to do PhD. For example, your professor can be your referee, or the professor from your previous undergrad program can be your referee. There's a button called send email to referee requesting reference. So this is a button which is available in the application. You will have to click on that. Once you click, a notification will go to the referee and they will have to provide the feedback. Please note that two such references are important, and unless the references are provided, you cannot submit the application. So ensure that you talk to the referees well in advance. Tell them that they can expect the notification anytime and they'll have to submit as early as possible, and without which your application will not be it will not be complete. Also, there is an option to change the referee. For instance, if the referee is not responding, you can change the referee. So that's something that you can note. So this is again the screenshot. As I already mentioned, there is a button called send email to referee. So you'll have to click on that so that the notification will go to the referee. I've provided here the important timelines. IMB test, as I already mentioned, it is on 2nd of February. The application deadline is 24th Jan, 5 p.m. We see from our experience, it's generally people apply at the last minute, which leads to unnecessary rush. Please don't do that. Kindly apply at least 1 week before. And shortlisting and area test happens in the month of February. Interviews will be in the month of March, and offer notification and offer acceptance also will be in the month of March. And there is something called PhD prep program and registration, which happens in the month of May. So please make a note of all these. All these important dates are available on the website, and ensure that you submit on time. I now request a professor to show the website so that it helps the candidates. Stop sharing my screen.
Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the PhD program website. So this is a link that I had shared earlier in the webinar. So I'm going to take maybe 2-3 minutes to just walk you through the main things. So you can easily find it from our main IIMB website through a simple Google search. And on the main page, you will see in the middle program objectives, specializations, admission related information, and some other information. So let me walk you through some of that. So the admission related information is available right here on the main page. If you click on the admissions related site, you will have information about the IIMB test. I know there are some questions about the IIMB test, the overall admissions process, some details related to the admission process in each area, and also the important deadlines for various activities related to admission. Giri showed you this on a slide. That information is given here. Some of you have been asking when you will know about the status of your application and so on. So you will have all of that information by the deadlines that are mentioned here. Going back to our main page, I also see some questions asked about the kind of research and am I suitable for research in a particular area. So if you click on specializations, you will see the 10 areas that I had mentioned in the start of my presentation. And if you go to any one of these areas, you will find out details of the research done by various faculty and students in that area. So here you have faculty and students explaining the current research that we do. I saw a question on behavioral economics, and you can see that our former student here, definitely doctoral student in the economics area, does work on behavioral economics. So we have a pretty vibrant research in the PhD area. Now, this student in particular is now a faculty at the Azim Premji Institute. He just graduated in March of last year. You will also know the ongoing research that is being done, the dissertation titles, the core courses taken by students in an area. As I mentioned earlier, all of these are doctoral level courses, and also the various faculty that work in various areas that you see here. You see this for every area. So let me go through another area. Information systems, for example, you can see the research done by various faculty and PhD students in the area, dissertation titles that are being done, and the courses taken by the students in that area. Apart from that, so I will strongly encourage all of you that are trying to think about where you would fit in to look at that page fairly closely. I also talked about publications, so you can see a snapshot of our research activity of our students. So these are all student-driven publications. So these are the journal publications. And if you just go to last year, 2023-24, these are the journal publications from our PhD students while they have been in the program. So you can see we are fairly active in terms of our publications. You can also see the conference publications. I told you that our students go to domestic and international conferences. If you just look at international conferences, just in the last year, you can see our PhD students have gone to several international conferences all across the world presenting their research, right? So we are fairly aggressive in disseminating our research. And so you get a fairly good exposure in terms and a satisfying research experience as part of our PhD program. And so that in a nutshell gives you an idea of the program.